What's up, fight fans? This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I have some new news concerning Derek Chisora, Kubrat Pulev, 2 times. This fight was phenomenal. I didn't go live intentionally because I had a family function that was very important to me. But I tell you, that was one hell of a fight. I saw the fight. I watched it. Back and forth action. Derek Chisora, body punching guru. Okay. What he didn't land upstairs, he made up for downstairs. The way he fought Pulev is exactly the same way Anthony Joshua needs to fight Alexander Usyk. Okay. I think that Derek Chisora is that story. He's that story of that person that you love. And he's an example of a person that it doesn't matter if you have 12, 13 losses. It does not matter because the fans still love you. The people still love you. They crave to see you fight. He has fans. You hear Derek Chisora, sometimes he's joking, sometimes he's serious about wanting more money to Eddie Hearn. You see him in press conferences, threatening to shut the whole thing down unless he gets more money because he knows he's valuable. Saying that, back to the fight. First, second round, they could have went back and forth, in which they did, according to the judges. Pulev incorporated a left hook in there. I was surprised because he added a left hook to his arsenal. And instead of just that awkward jab in the right, he took that awkward jab in the right and followed with a left hook. So you can tell that they were practicing that. And it was effective. And Pulev was a guy, he holds. He likes to get his shots off and hold. He's kind of like a poor man's Vladimir Klitschko, honestly. He's just not as tall. He's 6'4", so, he's a big guy still. But, they have a certain type of style. Well, they set up, get off, hold you. Jab and grab. I'm not really a fan, but, that's how Vlad did it, like a lot of Eastern European fighters do. And he did that a lot. But Derek Chisora did not allow him to hold like that. When he got close enough, he would throw these short left hooks in there and catch him right on the side of the face. So that rest that Pulev thought he was going to get, he didn't receive. He got whacked in the mouth or upside the head, okay? And that was a good deal from Derek Chisora. He worked for everything that he had in that fight, okay? We saw that at 38 and 41, Derek Chisora has the heavier hands. His punches were doing more damage. However, though, to be fair, this was a pro Chisora crowd. It was at the O2 Arena. That's Derek Chisora's backyard, okay? And that's like his arena of choice, I believe. At the O2, he's that guy. Him and Dillian White, were classic for. So it was a pro Chisora crowd. And if you notice, Pulev, for every 8 punches Pulev landed, they would get smothered out by one or a couple Chisora punches. Every time Chisora lands anything, the crowd went crazy. But it just shows you, though. It shows you that the crowd is behind Derek Chisora. Pro Chisora crowd. But it also shows you the energy, the electric energy in there. Okay? When you get to the O2, something happens. And you see it each and every time they come to the O2. It's like O2 Arena is like Barclays in Brooklyn. Okay, Barclays Center is not the most popular, but it's the most common, and the most well known for classic fights. Okay, the Barclays Center is that place you want to go. It's not the creme de la creme, but it's in that middle range. And speaking of middle range, that's why I like these type of fights. I wouldn't have missed it for the world. Having guys like Kubrat, Pulev, and Derek Chisora, because these are like a mid-grade fighters. They're not the top. They're not damn sure not the bottom, but they're right there. Okay, And great matchup by Eddie Hearn, because that was a close fight, the first fight. This fight was also close. Back to action. Derek Chisora in round 7 landed an overhand right that split Kubrat Pulev's face open. Okay, his face was utterly smashed. He has some thin skin, as you can tell. And you can tell how heavy Derek Chisora's hands are because when he hit Kubrat Pulev, you could see it. You could see the result. Even when Anthony Joshua fought Pulev, and Anthony hit Pulev a lot, okay, he didn't have anything like that on his face. Okay, so, Derek Chisora has some very heavy hands. I think his best punch, besides body work, I think is his overhand right. That clubbing right hand does something to you. Now, I want people to understand something. It was miraculous to see Derek Chisora push himself through rounds 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Why? Because Chisora is only effective for 6 rounds. Effectively, he's very dangerous in 6 rounds. The heart pushes him through. The condition pushes him through. But heart first, because he doesn't have the same punching power. Because if you notice at the end of those rounds, in the last 4 rounds, Chisora was hitting Kubrat Pulev with that overhand right. Pulev was still there, and Pulev figured out, you can tell, Pulev's supposed to be on his ass. If he would have caught Pulev in rounds 5 or 6 with those type of punches, which he was off a bit, his punch placement was off, and Kubrat Pulev is an awkward fighter because, again, the jab and jab, right, grab, jab and grab style, that's what you get in. That's what we were dealing with. And Chisora was winging that right hand, but he was just off a little bit, I think if he straightened up that punch instead of looped it, it would be more effective. But those looping punches, I think, has more power because it generates the way he throws it. He throws that overhand right like somebody like a pitcher's throwing a baseball. Okay, and Derek Chisora, man, good for him. 116, 111. I think Pulev won the last 2 rounds. And it just shows you that if Derek Chisora would have won the last 2 rounds, if he would have went in there with a mindset of I got to win these rounds, it would have been you would have seen a difference in the scorecards by default. And one thing I liked about it, you didn't have a lot of delaying, a hesitation with the judges like you see, like a fight like that goes, it's real kind of questionable of who won. And then, they're sitting around scrambling to get cards together. It's like, what are you doing? Are you filling them out right then? Because it makes you suspicious. So I look at it as that wasn't a robbery. However, it was hometown advantage. Hometown advantage and the refereeing is basically what did it for this fight. Now, the referee was a pro. If you notice, he was a pro. He was a British referee. So he was pro Chisora because Chisora did things himself and it really wasn't amplified like Pulev. Pulev is like, hey, I'm going to take another point. I'm going to take another point. Look, they did the same thing. Besides the constant holding, which Pulev is known for, they did the same thing. The same exact thing they did. Because Pulev is known to hit you behind the head, but after he grabs you, but it didn't really matter to Chisora because Chisora is a guy that's going to hit you regardless if you're in the clinch or not. Look what he did at Usyk. He bashed Usyk. He had him with one, he bashed him with the other, right? So that's Chisora. Chisora is going to give you war each and every time, each and every second. And if he's not punching, he's doing a possum kind of a Evander Holyfield type, kind of playing possum there, waiting for his next opening. A lot of people compare him to a poor man's Mike Tyson, but I look at Chisora as more like a bigger, slower Holyfield. Because, he's not as fast, he's not as accurate, but he's more powerful, he's bigger, and he fights for everything like Holyfield did. Excuse me. And you look at the referee, back to him, he was all bark and no bite. I mean, he talked a good game, like, hey, I'm going to deduct some points, but he was very lenient too. You know what I mean? Because he was like, all right, one more, you get me. You know what I mean? And it's like, okay, you said you was going to take a point. Any other referee would. So, you might say, yeah, he's a pro British referee because he's British, but he was lenient on both sides, so he had to caution both fighters. It was a high-spirited fight. I'm glad Chisora got the win because I do think he needed it. I do agree with Derek Chisora. He needed this fight. He needed a win. He needed a W instead of an L, okay? Regardless of what he put into that fight. He needed that. The Joseph Parker, he was robbed. I'm not really sure about other fights per se. Maybe you can question Dillian White, the first fight with him. That's one thing because they did do a lot of back and forth and all they did was beat the shit out of each other. Okay, so, you could argue that, but Derek Chisora has been in a lot of fights, that it didn't go his way. So I'm glad that it did. But anyway, you guys tell me what you think of Kubrat Pulev losing to Derek Chisora by split decision. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace!